Fall is here, the weather is bad, it's raining all the time, and we don't have to feel bad anymore for staying in all day with a hot drink and a book and blankets. Fall is my absolute favorite season of the year. I can't stand the heat of summer, so I'm so incredibly glad that the summer heat is gone. I thought this would be the perfect time to talk about my fall TBR. I have a lot of books that I bought specifically for fall this year, and also a lot of books that I wanted to read last fall and I didn't get around to it. Starting with these books. These are like fun romance books set in the modern world but with fantasy elements. They sound so perfect and cozy, and I know that the first one is set in a small town during a fall festival, and that just sounds so cozy and perfect for the fall time. The first one is called A Witch's Guide to Fake Dating a Demon, and it's about this witch who is terrible at doing witch stuff. She can't do spells for the life of her. The only thing she's really good at is nature magic. So she's a gardener and she loves her plants and everything, but she can't really manage anything else. And her parents have like really high expectations of her because there was a prophecy when she was born, and she has not been able to fulfill that prophecy for her parents. And so they're really disappointed in her, and she's battling with the disappointment of her parents. And to top that off, she knows she's not a good witch, but to top that off, she accidentally summons a demon, and the demon can't leave until she makes a bargain with him to give him her soul and her magic in exchange for anything she wants. But since she accidentally summoned him and doesn't really want anything and really doesn't want to give up her soul and her magic, he has to stay there and he has to live with her, because now he's bound to her until the bargain is fulfilled. It's forced proximity, and then her mom comes around and she can't admit to her mom that she accidentally summoned a demon. That would just make everything worse with her mom. So instead, they pretend like they're dating and he's her boyfriend, because she needs to have some kind of explanation why he's hanging around with her. And that just sounds so fun. I love it. I'm really excited to read this. It sounds perfect. The second book in the series is about a different character who's also a demon, and he gets banished from the demon realm and loses his memory, so he has no idea who he is or what he did to make this witch hate him so much. And she really wants to kick his ass for stuff that he did. But he has no memory, and so she kind of feels bad, and also he doesn't seem as bad as she thought he would. There's this evil demon who's after them both, but the female main character realizes that maybe she likes this new version of him without his memories, and maybe she doesn't want him to recover his memory and become who he was before. And the third book in the series is about a werewolf and a vampire, and this vampire is stuck in a crystal, and she's been cursed by this witch, and she's been trying to kill this witch and dreaming of killing this witch for centuries. But she gets sold to this werewolf. She wants nothing more than to be free, and she would kill him if she needed to. This sounds really amazing. I'm just a sucker for werewolf and vampire stuff. I love this. I think fall is just the perfect season for everything fantasy about vampires and werewolves and witches. There's really just no other time that's better for reading those kind of fantasy books. So I'm really, really excited to read this. And I have just been craving some fun little books. I read heavy fantasy most of the time, and this just sounds like the perfect quick read for in between. This is the book that my book club, my real life book club, chose for this month, which is so exciting because they don't typically read fantasy books, and I've been dying to read this anyway. And now that the book club has picked it, I had an excuse to buy it, and so I have to prioritize it and read it really soon. And this is about a witch who kind of loses her magical powers, but not really, and she's trying to balance life in the normal world without letting it slip that she's actually a witch. But then she gets a summons from her coven, and she needs to go through these trials. And if she fails these trials, she might lose her magical ability forever. So she needs all the help she can get, even if it is from an infuriating coven watchman who's been bound to protect her. This sounds amazing. I am so excited to read this. I think it fits perfectly in line with the other 3 books, like a cozy, a little funny book about witches and falling in love and rediscovering magic and all that stuff. I read Emily Wilde's Encyclopedia of Fairies in January of last year because my boyfriend got it for me for Christmas, and it was absolute 5 stars for me. It was the coziest, perfect read for me. I still wish I had read it in fall, and I never got around to reading the other 2. So I'm thinking of doing a reread of the first book this fall, and then continue the series with the 3rd and 2nd book. And I'm so excited. If you don't know what it's about, the first one is about Emily Wilde, who's like a scientist, and she is researching fairies. She's writing the very first encyclopedia of fairies. There's this other guy who's her academic rival, and he like follows her to that town and meddles in all of her research. And she is trying to find out, why is he trying to ruin this for her? And so she tries to find out his secret. So I'm really, really excited to reread the first one and finish the series. If you haven't gotten by now that I love a cozy fantasy, I don't know. This is Tusk Love by Thea Guanzon, who's the author of Hurricane Wars. And this is like a love story set or inspired by the world of D&D. And I have already read this, to be honest. It was on my fall TBR. I bought it specifically for fall. And I read it in the first few days of September. And it was absolutely 5 stars for me. This was the perfect, cozy fantasy romance read. It was so heartwarming and sweet. She is a merchant's daughter, and she's supposed to bring like a carriage of stuff to another city. But she gets robbed and all her guards get killed. And so she lost like almost all of her fortune that she was supposed to bring to her parents. And in comes this guy, Oscar, and he doesn't really save her. He sees her save herself and then says, okay, it would be really terrible to let you go alone. So I'm gonna go with you, I'm gonna protect you, and I'm gonna get you to where you need, and then I'm off. I can't stop thinking about this. This was so amazing and heartwarming and sweet. And if you're even remotely interested in reading anything like this, I would highly recommend you pick this up. Switching gears a little bit, I have been dying to read this book. I bought it last year and wanted to read it in fall last year, but I didn't get around to it. And this is about a girl who is cursed to be a monster, and she feeds on fear, but then she breaks the sacred law and she gets cursed, and now all the monsters are hunting her. So she needs to seek some help from a guy she wouldn't usually dally with at all. And I just think that the concept of a monster who is hunted by other monsters because she broke a sacred law sounds so good, and it sounds so Halloween-y and folly, and I would love to read this in October. It sounds like the perfect read for October, and I'm really excited because it's by the author who wrote To Kill a Kingdom, which is a siren pirate fantasy book, and I really loved that one. So I feel like this is going to be right up my alley. I feel like fall is not only the time for cozy fantasy, but also for like really dark fantasy books. And this was my Fable book club pick for last month, and I didn't get around to it. But I also think that this would be a perfect fall time. I know next to nothing about this book. I know that it's about monsters. I think there's a monster hunter and an accidental marriage or a forced marriage or something like that. And that just seems totally up my alley. I love a fantasy like this. I hope that this is gonna be all vibes. And well, I know next to nothing about it, so I'm going in blind. And I'm really excited to see if I like this or not. Book Talk books have been kind of difficult for me because I didn't love most of them. But I'm putting my trust in my Fable book club, and I'm hoping that this works out. Very similar to that, we have the Book of Azrael. This is the German edition, and it is absolutely stunning. It's a German special edition, and I just can't get enough of this book. I am so excited to read this. I have seen so many people talk about this book or this series that I trust with everything that I own. I really hope that they don't disappoint me. I am so excited to read this. It is not the highest priority because I don't own the second and third one yet, and I feel like that if I pick this up, or when I pick this up, I will want to do a binge read and just finish the entire series in one go. And since I don't own the second or third yet, I might wait a little bit longer. I have not read Caraval yet. I know, I'm so late. I feel like everyone and their mother has read Caraval. And I have been dying to pick up Once Upon a Broken Heart, but I know that I personally will want to read Caraval first, so that I get the best possible experience out of reading Once Upon a Broken Heart. And I recently got this gorgeous edition of all of the books, and I have been dying to read this. I know that it's about like a magical island that appears, and you have to get an invitation to participate in this elaborate game. And I know that it's about Scarlet and her sister Tella, and they get an invitation, and then Tella disappears, and Scarlet has to find her before the game ends. And that just sounds really cool and kind of spooky. I have been wanting to read this for, I'm not gonna lie, probably like 10 years. I have had the Caraval book on my shelf forever, and I started reading it a few years ago, and I didn't like it then. But I think my taste has changed a lot, and I think I might have grown up a bit in my taste, and I feel like I would love this now. So I'm gonna be trying to read the entire series this fall, and then maybe the Once Upon a Broken Heart series too, but I think they are not necessarily fall themed, and so maybe they can wait and I read all my fall books first. This is like a really unknown duology. I have seen no one talk about this yet. I bought these books because I just finished a Criminal Minds rewatch. I rewatch it like every year or every other year, and I love Spencer Reid. I'm a Spencer Reid girl, and I had been dying for some Spencer Reid vibey main characters. And I scoured the internet for fantasy book recommendations with main characters that were Spencer Reid vibes. And I found this one. And I know that it's about a main character, a female main character who discovers that she has powers. And then she gets roped into this criminal case. And she and the male main character are investigating a serial killer. And if that doesn't scream Criminal Minds, I don't know what does. And I have such high hopes for these books. And they are also not necessarily fall themed, but I just feel like it's a perfect read for fall. I don't know. And I've been just dying to read this. I miss Spencer Reid. I have to start my rewatch of Criminal Minds soon. And also, I'm not sure if it's to everyone's taste, but I love the covers. I love the covers. I don't know what it's about them, but I think they're gorgeous. I bought Sorcery of Thorns last year, I think, specifically to read in the fall time, and I didn't get around to it last year, and so I'm hoping that I can read this year. You say magical library where the books can turn into monsters? Sign me up. Also, it's a standalone fantasy, and I think we need to bring back standalone fantasies. I'm in the middle of way too many series, and I'm kind of getting sick of having so many books on my TBR that are yet to be released. And I'm just craving some good standalone fantasy. And this is about sorcery and magical libraries and monsters and intrigue. I can't wait. Honestly, I can't wait to read this. It sounds amazing. Also, the cover is gorgeous. And next we have another Margaret Rogerson book. I feel like her books would be the perfect fall reads at any time because they seem kind of spooky, kind of mysterious. I have not read one of her books yet, but I feel like they might have the same vibes as Rachel Gillick books. Like a little bit spooky, a little bit gothic. And so this is about a nun who cleanses the bodies of deceased, I believe, so that they don't turn into ghosts. Maybe I heard that wrong. I don't know much about this book. It just sounds really cool, like a nun and dead people and spirits. It feels so perfect for Halloween that I also can't wait to pick this up. I might read these back to back, like Sorcery of Thorns and Vespertine. Maybe I'll read these in quick succession. And finally, we have the Prison Healer trilogy. I got these for my birthday a few weeks ago, and even though they're not necessarily fall themed, and I'm not sure like what it's really about, I have this new rule that I need to read all the books that I get immediately after them joining my collection, because if I don't, I just keep buying books, and I buy so many books. Like everyone that's saying that book collecting and book buying and book reading are different hobbies, they are correct. And I'm much better at buying books than at reading books. So my new rule dictates that I pick these up next, and I will. And I'm hoping that I like them because people have been raving about these and I want to know what it's all about. I know that she is like a healer in one of the notorious death prisons. And then I know that there's some trial involved and that there's a romance maybe with another inmate. And that seems so cool. And I feel like even though it's not necessarily fall themed, it does kind of give up a little spooky vibes. Like a death prison, come on. That sounds so cool. And these are short books, so I hope I'll be able to read them very quickly. And that is all the books on my TBR. I know it's insane. I have no idea if I'll be able to read this many books in just 2.5 to 3 months. I think I'm gonna include November in this and stretch my fall season out a little bit, because I feel like December is when Christmas starts and that starts a new season. But fall is September, October, November, so I have 3 months to read all of these books that don't even all fit in my hands like this. But I am so excited to start reading these, and I hope that there are some 5 stars in it for me. I am very picky with my 5-star reads, and I'm hoping that some of these will deliver as much as Tusk Love did, because as I said, that was an absolutely perfect book to me. I will maybe even reread it like this fall again, because I just loved it so much, and it was really short, I think like 280 pages. And I hope you enjoyed this video of me talking about all the books that I want to read this autumn. I hope that some of these maybe you haven't even heard of and sounded intriguing enough to maybe pick these up. If you've read any of these already and loved them, please say so in the comments. I would love to know your opinions on it. I'm really excited. This seems like such a good time. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.